So 3 people have been hospitalized after gunmen opened fire on an ANC branch meeting in Mpumalanga, in Driekoppies, in fact. The meeting was called yesterday, we're told, to elect leadership at the ward level and to nominate leaders for the upcoming provincial council. Intense factional battles are believed to be a major contributing factor to the violence itself. Let's distill these developments for you now. Bring in political analyst Khanya Vilakazi, who's a lecturer of political science at the University of Mpumalanga. He joins us now via our video link from that province. And Khanya, it's great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for making time for us on this Monday morning. You know, depending on who you speak to, Mpumalanga itself was seen as, if you like, some kind of power broker at the ANC's last elective conference. To what extent do you think that feeds into the level of instability that we've seen in the last 24 hours?
I think one thing that people ought to understand about Mpumalanga is the fact that when the current deputy president left the province, there was a power vacuum that he left. Because in Mpumalanga, everybody knew that Didi Mabuza was the man of Mpumalanga. And he had some sort of control and order in the province that after he left, he did not fully break away, but he tried to manage what was his strong base, which is in Mpumalanga. And in that attempt, there was a lot of fragmentation with the people that were installed to be in power and those that harbored ambitions of taking over the provincial seats.
Yeah, I guess the question that then emerges is, with the vacuum that David Mabuza leaves, as you put it, who is best poised to fill it? Or I imagine answering that question is a bit difficult because that's actually at the center of the contestation, you say.
Yeah, I think because of these multiple names that have been thrown into the race, you've got the current acting chairperson, Umandla Ndlovu, who seemingly is leading the list names in terms of the preferred candidates. But not only him, you've got the current premier, Mamrefilo, and you've got other people such as Peter Nyoni and Lakim Dinisa, who themselves don't control such a strong power base, but the ambition and the wards have brought their names up to lead. So who's going to lead after the provincial conference it's yet to be determined, but there is a front runner in the name of Company.
Many people are characterizing what we've seen as just the spillover from factional battles. Is it that simple for you?
Yes, it is that simple for me, because you need to understand that in South Africa or within the African National Congress, whenever you are trying to run for office or need to ascend to power, you need to control the processes from the ward level. And if you lose at a ward level, obviously the delegates that get elected to the provincial conference will be delegates aligned to a certain faction. And if the numbers don't add up, ascending is impossible.
Sure. What does that mean ultimately for December? We've heard, I think it must have been Paul Mashatile in the Sunday papers, mentioning that there's some kind of consensus to have President Cyril Ramaphosa being elected for a second term when the National Elective Conference gets underway in December. I mean, obviously, how Mpumalanga and various other provinces have their provincial conferences will have a direct bearing on whether or not that consensus is materialized.
That's very true. There is some sort of consensus within Mpumalanga amongst the candidates they want to take over, that regardless of who is number one, but they prefer, and I put that in inverted commas, they would greatly prefer that Didi Mabuza is retained as deputy president. But one thing that needs to be understood is that the wards, the regions, the strength of the regions are not going to be as strong as they were in 2017 coming into the National Elective Conference of the ANC. So Mpumalanga might have lost its character of being a power broker when it comes to the national elections of the ANC.
That's fascinating. Help us understand a bit better how the volatility in Mpumalanga was allowed to last as long as it has. I mean, former leaders in the province have actually gone as far as to sound dismissive of what took place by saying, well, this is actually nothing new if we think about it. And it's, I guess, difficult to reconcile that in the context of what you're saying, which is the fact that it's this vacuum left by David Mabuza that has spurred on the level of instability then. So what explains why this has been so sustained, why this has been taking place for so long?
You know, the failure of the ANC's democratic centralism system is a result of this. I think if regional, provincial, and zonal leadership would allow the branches to make their own independent decisions in terms of who's leading that branch, who their preferred candidates are, then everything will then fall into a democratic manner of electing the best candidates amongst the best people that have elected them. But however, because there's this a democratic centralism and attempt to control the narrative of who votes, we've heard stories of branch secretaries removing other people from the list, adding other people on the list when it comes to the BGMs. And this has led to people going into meetings armed because they know that they're walking into a battle in which they have to win inch by inch, ward by ward, so that they can ascend to a regional or even a provincial position.
Sure. Plenty to consider in a context where that provincial conference is yet to happen. A quick bite from you, Khanya, before we wrap up. Are you confident that the conference will be able to go ahead?
I'm quite sure that it should, because we need to understand that the current PEC has been in power since 2015. So you can imagine that within the ANC's own constitution, what should have happened or must have happened was the province being disbanded and then an interim committee being put in place in order to try and rebuild the Mpumalanga. But that has not happened thus far. So it is going to be quite difficult to see the PEC sit amongst everything that's currently happening.
Absolutely, and we all wait with bated breath until then. Khanya Vilakazi, thanks for your time, sir. Really do appreciate it. Khanya is a political science lecturer at the University of Mpumalanga.